Thank you. Yes, balance. That's really the foundation of what Agile Wealth is about, because I believe it's really important when we think about philosophy of money and how we manage it and what we do with it. Money is funny stuff. We desire it, we want it, and when we've got it, we want more of it. It's a bit like chocolate, food, other stimulants. So we tend to have a poor relationship with money in the same way as we have a poor relationship with many other elements in our life, often subconsciously. So if we have a bad relationship with food and our diet, we go, oh, we know we should probably eat better, but we don't. We know we should exercise a bit more, but we don't. We know we should probably work a bit less, especially if you're a business owner, but we don't. And similar with our financial situation, we common sense know you should spend less than you earn. Otherwise, that can be problematic down the track. You should use that wisely and not overextend. So we know some of these things purely from a common sense perspective, but we also know those things about exercise and food and finding that balance with our mental health too. But so often we're not, because it could be we're living in extremes. So it could be there's stresses in our life, anxieties, things that are impacting why we behave, how we behave. So there's definitely some proven studies done on the interdependency between your financial health, your mental health, your physical health, because money tends to drive, or our finances tends to drive an awful lot of emotion, particularly when either we may be struggling and not having enough, knowing we don't have a balance, or at other extremes, you may have a bad relationship with money because it's insatiable. You cannot actually satisfy your desire. You need more and more. Think of pirates and treasure. It's ingrained in us, and actually if you can't find that point of balance and satisfaction, maybe there's other things going on that's driving that. Finding balance in life is important, and as a financial advisor, my role is not to help you make money for the sake of making money. My role is to help you find that balance in life with your finances. What drives some of these emotions around money? We've got about 6 minutes left, so we don't have time to solve this all now. So we're going to focus purely on one or two elements of it. There's a study that's been evolving over the last probably 20, 30 years called behavioral economics. It is a study that's evolved from some works that won the Nobel Prize in economics back in the 70s, and is a merging together of psychology and economics, and is an attempt to understand why we behave the way that we do around money. One of the key concepts within behavioral economics is loss aversion. And what this is, our emotions to how we respond to loss versus gain. So I know we don't use paper money a lot, but imagine if you lose 50 bucks. You get home, your 50 bucks is gone, and you go, oh man, I dropped it. You're pretty unhappy about losing that 50 bucks. And whether you've lost money because you dropped it, or you looked at your super balance and it had gone down, or you realise you'd pay twice as much for something as you should because the next day it's on half price sale. Whatever it is, think about your emotions of how you feel about that loss. It's quite a strong emotion for most people. And whether it's loss of money or loss in general, we will generally have a much stronger emotion to loss than to gain. If you find 50 bucks, you're pretty happy for a moment. You go, brilliant, I found 50 bucks on the floor. How good's that? Put it in your pocket. 2 minutes later, you've forgotten about it. Now, when you lost that 50 bucks, you're still thinking about it the next day. Man, I lost that bloody $50. So our emotional response to loss is actually a lot greater. And what's interesting around that when it comes to how we actually think about our own financial situation, and we look at where we're at financially or as a business or in our personal lives is many of us don't actually have a plan. So we don't actually have, we might think, yes, we've got a business plan. Hopefully we've got an idea of where we are today and where we want to go to. And that may or may not translate into the capacity to take wealth out of that business for yourself as well. But the point of running the business is have a healthy personal financial situation, not just a healthy business bottom line. But even if you're not running a business, many of us don't actually have a plan of what are we actually going to do and how are we actually going to manage our financial lives from today, wherever that may be, through to a point when actually your income is going to stop. Which is an interesting thought around what does happen when you stop work? What does happen when your capacity to earn income actually ends? And that may be retirement, but it may not be. It may actually be a health event, something that actually prevents you from working temporarily or permanently. Yet we tend to have issues with massive underinsurance in Australia. This isn't an insurance sales pitch, but we have some sayings in Australia. One of the strongest lapsadaisical sayings in Australia is, she'll be all right, mate. If you don't actually have a financial plan and you don't have a backup, she won't be all right. Yet, as Aussies, we're all, no, she'll be all right, it'll be fine. Oh, she's really not going to be. If you can't work and you take away your income and you don't actually have the capacity to not earn money ever again, or you don't have the capacity to earn money for 2 or 3 months, maybe you do, but then at the end of that period, how long is it going to take you to rebuild that capacity? Yet we have a very strong aversion to insurance because of our cultural views on that. Very briefly, I had some clients who are South Africa looking at their insurances, and they sold the story to me because in South Africa, you can't get a mortgage without insurance. You have to give your insurance documents to the bank before they'll give you a mortgage. To them, it makes complete sense. Obviously, societal difference in South Africa versus Australia. We feel very safe and naively everything's going to be fine. But it was quite unusual for someone to actually say, I need this and I need this, and I value the fact that I pay a premium for it is an asset for me because it's going to help me in the future. But because of our ingrained human behavior around having a aversion to loss, depending on how we feel around what we value and what we don't value, when you pay something out for something that you don't value, that emotion of loss actually starts to get quite strong. Tax, for example, is something that drives our emotions. So in order to help us through life's journey, financial advisors, we are not, majority of us, here just to simply make people rich. That is not what we do. We are here to help you find a balance in life and get a plan so that you have a backup plan if something goes wrong, and you find that balance between saving for today, but living for today as well, but making sure that tomorrow is actually going to be the life that you want it to be later on. Time is definitely your friend when it comes to investing. Getting wealthy, for whatever that means to you, is best done over long periods of time. So my conclusion today, or final words today, is if you don't have a financial plan, I encourage you to think about what it is that a financial plan would look like for you. If you don't have a business plan, lots of business coaches through BX strongly suggest you have a discussion there around that, particularly in business. If we're not marrying up the two between why are we working so hard in business yet I'm not getting paid myself, we need to find that balance. Right now, so my conclusion, yes, it's all about balance, and I've got the wrap up. It goes quick, hey. And so thank you for your time. I'm Richard Elms from Agile Wealth, and we're here to help you through life stages. Thank you.